But not only does it force you to learn, but it gives you an opportunity to suck. Is a 650 too much for a new rider? This is my 2-year review. I will link at the top my video that I did when I first got this as a new rider, but I've learned some things since then, so I wanted to make another video about it. 2 years ago when I made the video, I had only ridden the SV650 and I think it was the Honda Nighthawk 250 or something like that I had ridden in my course, my motorcycle safety course. Now I've ridden the Ninja 400, I've ridden the Yamaha R7, I've ridden so many different bikes. If you want to be a really good rider, if you want to learn skills to be safe, if you want to know how to lean the bike, how to ride the bike in a parking lot at slow speeds, how to do a U-turn in the middle of the street, if you want to know better riding position, because this is not a bike that you just roll the throttle and you're going to keep up with your friends or whatever. Also be very careful when riding with your friends, but the point is, this is not one of those bikes that, you know, you're just good to go automatically. You can just roll the throttle and you'll be good. You actually have to have certain techniques to have this bike keep up with your friends, even though it's very capable, because this bike doesn't go to 70 in first gear, nor should it. I do believe that this bike has helped me learn so much quicker than a lot of the people who started with me. And I have people who started with me on Ninja 400s and stuff like that, and they went fast, quick. They were going through corners and stuff, but as a pure technician, this bike couldn't have started me better. I don't think a 650 is too much. I think a 650, particularly a naked bike, one that's torqued this way, is just the right amount of power for a new rider, because it helps give you kick in the lower gears. The thing about a sports bike is it kind of is teaching you that the more you rev, the faster you go, which is not always going to teach you like throttle control. It'll teach you throttle fear, and you can work on throttle control. But something like this forces you to learn throttle control. Look at that, that's a naked bike right there. Forces you to learn throttle control, and I'll show you. But not only does it force you to learn, but it gives you an opportunity to suck at it. For example, when I first started riding, I would go up in gears this quick, and so I'd be like on 6th gear at 45, and in most bikes you're not going anywhere, but here, like, it's gonna shake a little bit, but I can still get out of trouble. And the danger about being in the wrong gear is, like, if a car was about to swerve, I need to get out, and so this gear is still too low. Now I can get out if a car is swerving. I'm ready. But you're not going to be comfortable doing that when you first start. It's not intimidating. Honestly, when I got on this motorcycle, it was easier to move the throttle and it was easier to shift gears than it was on the 250 that I learned on in my motorcycle safety course. So, and yeah, people say like, oh, well, get an R6 or something like that because you get your second bike first. I don't necessarily believe that at all, because everyone learns differently. But I think for almost any rider, something like a 650 has enough power for idiots like this, where you can get away from them. Sorry, I shouldn't call him an idiot, but he was riding my tail. It has enough power for people like that, and it also has, you know, enough power that if you're in the wrong gear like this, you can still kind of get out of there, whereas other bikes, you would be clunking if you were there. You guys see how quickly I shift gears, downshift, clutchless shift. It doesn't really matter, because I've just learned so much with this. This is a perfect beginner bike in my opinion. It still is a motorcycle, so it still is inherently dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. I believe it will help you know what you're doing a lot quicker than if you have something a lot faster, or if you have something with a more intimidating gear sequence, and if you have something that isn't as forgiving as this bike. So maintenance wise, it's been no issue at all. But for pure skills, you cannot do better than this motorcycle at all. You cannot do better than it, and it's just amazing bike. So that's my take 2 years later on, is a 650 too much to start on? No, 650, particularly the SV 650, is perfect. The Ninja 650 is still a good bike. I just feel like, you know, it's not as good as this one, but it's still great to learn on. Almost anything in this class. The R7 to me would probably be the best one for who I was as a rider and how I was going to approach it, but you're not really going to be able to do too much better than the SV 650. So anything in the 650 class, you're for the most part going to be good to go with. Again, 650 and the 6, so like R6 is a lot faster of a motorcycle than a 650. I don't have time to explain that, but a 650 or a 700 is going to be geared much differently than a 6. Because a 6 is like right before the 1000, which I know doesn't make sense, but it's just more sporty geared. 650 is where you want to be at. Find a bike that's, you know, towards what you want it for. I was going to be on the highway and the back roads a lot. This is not great on the highway, but as a new rider, it does everything you would need to on the highway, and I didn't know it was not great on the highway until my second bike. And then once I got on my second bike, I was like, wow, I don't want to ride this on the highway ever again. I'd rather stay on the second bike, the VFR 800. But in terms of going through the corners, early on I was just as good at the corners as most riders that I encountered. Not that I was encountering people who were amazing at the corners, but that's my point after all anyway. Like, a lot of people learn how to ride, but they don't know how to ride, if that makes sense. They learn how to go in a straight line, but they don't know how to ride that thing. A lot of people may not know how to hit you with a quick UE like this, even on a road that's this horrible. So, is the 650 too much? Absolutely not. If you follow all the basics, you work on your fundamentals, you work on getting smooth with everything, smooth braking, smooth handling. The only thing that this bike messed me up with is it has ABS. So when I rode a bike that didn't have ABS, that's when I learned I had developed a bad habit of putting too much pressure on the rear brake, because I almost flipped that bike. So if you do have ABS, that's something to consider, and I will make a video on that just to keep people safe. But other than that, like, this bike made me very comfortable to move up when I was ready. A 650 class is perfect introduction into motorcycles. The way it is built, and the way a lot of 650s are built, are such that a new rider can hop on it and ride a motorcycle and not be a liability to themselves and to everyone else, and at the same time be able to level up their skills so that, as people say, they can outgrow the bike. But the beautiful thing about a 650 is, even though your skills may outgrow it, it's still very useful. And I've had this bike for 2.5 years. It is still bone stock. And most people who got super fast bikes, if we go anywhere in a corner, they will never see me again, because that's how bad I have been able to get on this jump. And I still have a lot to learn. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying like I don't have a lot to learn. I'm just saying I was able to learn a lot very quickly, and a lot more than maybe the average rider. And I feel a lot more confident in my skills to keep myself safe on a very dangerous road with people who aren't paying attention and all this extra stuff, because, you know, I started with a bike that was like in that perfect enough but not too much range. And that's what buying a 650 does for you. I hope you guys have found a lot of value in this video. If you have, please consider subscribing. Definitely drop a like. That helps me know if I'm on the right track when it comes to providing value to my audience, because that's what it is about. I love y'all. God loves you, and I will see you in the next video.